Proud of our team's response yesterday, coming back from a disappointing performance at Penn State, getting our minds back right, having good practice yesterday and good meetings to be able to get refocused. Just addressing in our meetings and in our practice special teams. Our poor performance that we had in that area was things we got to get corrected. Ball security was a big emphasis. Creating takeaways on our side defensively, offensively protecting it, defensively taking it. Worked on that yesterday. Again, we'll continue to emphasize that. Really, 21 points off of those turnovers is really devastating and really hurt us in the game. And giving up 21 points off special teams are really 14 directly, and then the roughing the punter that gave them a first down, and they ended up going down and scoring off of that was really very frustrating and disappointing, and needs to get corrected. So I feel like that our guys mentally were ready to play and did not execute the opening kickoff, and that's a really momentum killer when they just take it right back, the opening play of the game, and so that to me is inexcusable. So had to address personnel on there, made some changes with that, talked about a couple scheme adjustments with that, but the placement of the kick was right where you wanted it to be, and didn't do a great job at all with the scheme of covering it. So can't do that, and really hurt us for sure. And then being able to go through the game and fight back after being down 28, which is tough on the road, and then you get to 28-14 at half, and really feel good about the way we bounced back. Really pleased with our defense, especially stopping the run. Did a great job on a tremendously talented running back, but gave up some big play-action passes and some deep balls that hurt us for sure, and not good enough to overcome the earlier mistakes of our team. So really had put a lot into that game, as we always do, and felt good about our preparation and disappointed in the outcome, without a doubt. So very frustrated to start a game like that and dig such a big hole. So, nothing but compliments to Penn State, their first-class organization and everything that they do, and they got a lot of good football players, and their coaches do a great job. So you just can't give a team like that much talent and that much resources that they have and they take advantage of to be able to spot them those points, and makes it really hard. So if you look at the game and you go through that, we did not have any offensive players that we felt like as a staff were worthy of being a player of the game. And then defensively, Tigre Scales was phenomenal. Effort was what you always expect, was off the charts, but just the way he produced and the multiple sacks and the tackles for loss. And we had 11 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. We actually got 6, but they don't give us credit for the one that's an RPO, I guess, by the book technically. But so in my mind, we had 6. So that's and he was a big part of a lot of those. And so just really happy with him. And Chris Covington played well, extremely well, played well, both those guys. So defensive line, several guys. Alan Stallings continues to produce, and really excited about his growth. He responded, a couple weeks ago when Gooch was out, and he's really kind of stayed at that same level. There was a play also, Jerome Johnson, redshirt freshman, ran down Saquon Barkley from a long ways away. He just showed tremendous athleticism for a 300-pound defensive tackle and effort. And so just pleased with that. I thought Jacob Robinson played super hard and did some great things. So was really encouraged by those guys stepping up and playing well. And in the back end, Jonathan Crawford did some good things, had a blocked field goal, so he was our special teams player of the game. And then, Tony Fields had to switch positions and did some good things. It was some tough matchups for us in the perimeter with their receivers because of being down on some guys, but he played really well. And Chase Dutra, same thing, got forced to play a lot more snaps with the special teams responsibilities, and really encouraged by that. But just got to continue to bring guys along and got to have more depth. Keep saying it, keep working on it, emphasize it this week. And then, just going through and evaluating where we're at. As a team, you still got your scouts just working their tails off, so really proud of them this week. And the offensive scouts gave us another great look of simulating Penn State's offense. And Alex Rodriguez was the scout team player of the week, as well as Nick Troney at quarterback, and then Rod Lloyd, who's a true freshman here from Indianapolis, did a great job running the football. So those three guys, and then the defensive scout player of the week was Thomas Allen at linebacker. So just developing those younger guys and bringing them along and helping them get where they need to be for the future. So those are all the things that, to me, as you reflect back on the week and the things that we did and didn't do well. So we sit here 2-2 and got a chance to come back home, and a couple game stretch here, very important for us to continue to get some guys healthy. Get some guys back with us, and I know we lost some more after this last game, so it continues to be a challenge, but that's part of it, and we'll continue to move ahead and feel good about the guys that we're developing and trying to get healthy. So to me, the biggest thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a change at quarterback, and so Peyton Ramsey is going to be named the starter as of today. And met with both young men last night. And as you look back at the first 4 games and where we're at and our ability to move the football and score points and build a team around whoever I feel gives us the best opportunity to have success on game day. And I feel like, and our staff feels like, that Peyton Ramsey is the person for that responsibility. And so he's going to be our starting quarterback, and Rich will be a great teammate and will continue to work really hard and be ready to go when called upon. So that's, to me, a very important decision we're making, and excited about moving forward with what Peyton can do at quarterback. So we'll kind of close my opening statement by just saying my thoughts and prayers are with the individuals, victims of last night's horrendous incident in Las Vegas, and just hearts go out to them and their families and everybody affected by that. So pretty shocking situation. So questions?
You talk about, I don't know if the exact term maybe is building the offense around Peyton, but what changes when you've got a guy that, obviously has more of a mobile element to his game? Do you take some routes out? Do you change the way you use guys like Simi or anybody like that? I mentioned because I think Simi and Ian combined for no catches in the second half.
Yeah, and I think, to me it has to be, a situation where we build our offense around what Peyton does best, and the throws that he makes and can make and will make, and be able to force the defense to have to account for him in the run game, as well as, extending plays. And so that's for sure his strength, and getting those balls to those guys, and so they're obviously 2 of our best playmakers we have on the team. And so the objective will be to be able to get those guys the ball in multiple ways, which will be, similar, but obviously a little different just based on what he does well. And so, but to me, it's about, moving the chains and creating scoring opportunities for our team. And so building a game plan around that's going to be featuring, Peyton's strengths. And so there's a leadership piece that he has to step into, and all that entails. And so I just feel like at this time of where we're at and what we've evaluated and the body of work that we've been able to examine, that this is the best decision for our program.
Tom, I'm assuming then there won't be any more, like, Rich will play X number of series. It's just Peyton.
That's not the plan. To me, I like that, to be able to see. I wanted to see what they could do. I wanted to see what each one of them could do when they were out there, and not just bring Peyton in when maybe things weren't going good or whatever, just to have it scripted and then go from there. And so, but that gave gave me a chance to see, in a pretty objective way, who's able to, move the ball. And so, we did not do a good job in the second half, obviously, as a team of scoring points. And so we've got to build what we do from day one around the strengths of what Peyton brings. So, yeah, it's not going to be a rotating, and he's now just the starter and rotating back. It's going to be, I believe that we just need to, as we move this stage of our season, we need to be able, now he's got to be ready to go. There's no question, and that's the role of a person in his position, and that's what he'll do. But we're going to, Peyton's going to be the starter.
You mentioned injuries, but and the new injuries, can you bring us up to date on Jayshon and maybe Morgan Ellison?
Yeah, I think that Jayshon is going. We'll find out more this week. I would say he's a probable for this weekend, and hope to get him back. And then Morgan Ellison is also, I think, a guy that's likely to be able to go. Mike Majette should be returning with us, which is a positive. And I would say continue to Marcelino Ball and Sean Riggins will continue to be doubtful. I doubt they'll be playing with us on Saturday, so not expecting them to be back. And then as well as offensively, just a couple guys that were out that got injured during the game. We just have to wait and see what that looks like. So.
Well, one of those guys is Brandon Knight. Again, I thought, looked like to me the offensive line is making some strides in some ways, including with the run block. You talked about that a little
There's no question. We gave up one sack against a really, really talented defensive line, ran the ball 181 yards, and 4.7 yards a carry. And so we held them to 1.1 yard a carry, So we outrushed them by over 100 yards, So I thought that our offensive line is coming together. Brandon will be fine. He'll be ready to roll this week. And Coach Hiller is doing a really good job with a group that's learning to gel together, work together, and they need to. We need to be able to run the football. We need to be able to score points. But to me, it's about, you go through the season, you really don't really know the personality of your team. And after about 3 or 4 games, you got a pretty good idea what you are and where you're at and where your strengths lie. And I think you kind of, now you start saying, okay, now as you get into these situations, you feel like you kind of know your team and you got to adjust to injuries and all that. But, what do we have to do to win football games? And where do our strengths lie? Where are we at? And so to me, it's about playing great defense. It's about being really, really good on special teams. And it's being able to protect the football on offense and score points so you can win the game. And to me, that's, we gave the ball away. And those turnovers killed us. And you go through and you look at the first downs, the numbers, and the yards, and there was 18 yards difference in the offenses, total yards. One difference in first downs. They had one more than we had. And yet the points differential is dramatic. It's because of 21 points off turnovers. We had 4, they had 1. There's your difference, And so that, to me, it's about protecting the football and doing a great job of moving the chains and allowing us to be able to win the game. So that, to me, is what we're going to emphasize and become that. And that's where we're at. And I think that's, what you figure out as you go through. And I feel like that we got much better, I feel, for our team now than we did a few weeks ago.
This Saturday was it encouraging? It seemed like, once again, watching the game, that you guys were not losing the trenches.
No.
Is that encouraging in the sense that
it is, because that's where the game, to me, if you're losing that battle, you have some legit concern. The future is, there's not a lot of answers to change that. There's no question. They run the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. We fumble a punt and they pick it up and run it for a touchdown. We fumble the ball on the second play of the game on offense after a 20-yard run. So those are 3 early huge plays that made it hard. But defensively, we won the line of scrimmage. You know, you take 16 total plays behind the line of scrimmage, negative plays, tackles for loss, which includes sacks. That's a lot, you know. And so offensively, once again, you know, not getting sacked and running the football, you know, effectively is what you need to do. So, yeah, those are, you know, we're not looking for, you know, moral victories or anything like that. But when you go through and evaluate, you know, that's why the score didn't really match the play. It was just we turned the ball over. And that's a huge part of the game, and it cost us the game, in my opinion. And so that's our fault. And so that's you just cannot do that. And so we've got to get it fixed. But you're right. There's definitely some things to be, you know, encouraged by.
Follow-up. So you said Brandon's kind of one of those guys that's just sort of day-to-day at this point.
I would. He's still. I can't just say 100% sure, but I would say he's likely. Yeah, Brandon's likely.
Did Hayden Whitehead have a bad day, or was he just kicking away from that return?
We were concerned about 3. Yeah, you know, he's the number 2 returner, you know, in the Big Ten. And then after what happened in the, you know, the plan was to either kick it outside the numbers or out of bounds. You know, because my whole thing was, hey, I'll take a 40-yard kick out of bounds or a 38-yard kick out of bounds than the threat of a return, for sure. So, when you do that, sometimes that's hard. It's easier said than done for a kicker. You know, and so you don't want him to be worried about kicking it too far out of bounds or too short. So I thought that might have hampered him a little bit in his ability to be as effective. But there's a couple that I got on him about, you know, just because I'm like, you know, I'm all big. Hey, do your job. You know, be at your best when it counts the most. And so you got this many opportunities, capitalize on them. So, but yeah, it was definitely, you know, we weren't going to let him after that opening kickoff for sure. I'm like, I'm not going to give up another one. So we'll just let our defense play.
Anything in particular that you saw from Peyton this weekend that let you know that maybe now he's ready to take over?
I think it'd be more just collective, you know. It'd be collective. It wasn't. No, it really wasn't even just this game. It was just the build up over time and just, you know, other things that you see from both situations. And so it's just, you know, I've already commented previously. You know, love both guys, awesome people. I do think Peyton, you know, has a look in his eye about him that's different. You know, from in terms of just as a team member, not even just I'm not comparing. I'm talking about there's a grit to him. There's a toughness to him that he's got a linebacker mentality, and how he works and how he handles adversity and all that. So that I've noticed that since he's been here, you know. So and in our leadership training. So those are the kind of things that I always saw that he had in him. So those need to come to the forefront. That's what leaders do.
This is a guy we heard a lot about through the offseason. Rich talked about it, you know, coaches talked about it, but now that he's kind of put a fair bit on film in these first 4 weeks, just do you feel like kind of this is the player that maybe you saw spring, summer, fall camp, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I think that he's playing the way that we thought he would, you know, and trying to get him the football, and he's able to do something with the ball once he catches it because of his athleticism. So want to see that continue. And I believe that he'll be a guy that you know, really can help us moving forward to be able to you know, grow our offense. So it's about getting, you know, you identify, hey, who are the top playmakers on your offense, and just continue to find creative ways to get them the football.
Big Ten schedule when you're making this kind of change on the offense? Does that allow you to kind of try out some things that you wouldn't otherwise?
I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that you know, you got a 2-week window here before we play back in the Big Ten again, and so it gives us a chance to be able to look at some things. But you know, Charleston Southern, they're a team that you know, that we play that obviously is, you know, all that we're focused on now schematically, and just came from our meetings, you know, working on that, and so they have our full attention for sure because we understand where we're at. But in terms of being able to continue to develop as a scheme on both sides, you know, you really want to be able to take advantage of a week like this to be able to not be in conference play and keep moving forward.
Charleston Southern offensively.
It's really it's Georgia Southern's offense. You know, it's triple option, all from the gun, so very, very similar. So challenging once again, assignment football. The last 2 weeks have put up a lot of points and yards. And so it's your typical run the football, and then play action passes off of that. And so, will force us to be very, very assignment sound, extremely fundamental, and we're hoping that the benefit of playing at Georgia Southern, a couple weeks ago will be very helpful schematically in terms of not having to go through and do things that we haven't seen, the techniques that you have to teach, and so that should help, but it still creates challenges. That's why they do it. That's why they run it, but they do a good job.
Earlier, how big is it that he started to elevate his play, especially, I know with Gooch and Sykes, you had two guys and then you lose Sykes for the season. Now, how much does it allow you to maybe do things defensively that you couldn't do before you had him stepping up?
Yeah, it was huge, and, you kind of get to a point where you sit a young man down and just say, this program needs you to step up. And he responded, so I really am encouraged by that. When we lost Niall, that just was a big void there. And he had such a great offseason, did so many little things, and to Alan's credit, he's responded well. And he's got to keep elevating each week. It doesn't change, and so we needed him to do that, and that's why guys on the roster have to respond. And so sometimes it's the situation has to draw it out of them, and I think that's what this has done. Where when Gooch got the situation, the targeting, and had to sit out the first half, he didn't have a choice. He was forced into that, and I was encouraged by the way he responded, because I still hadn't seen consistent practice or performance. And then when that happened, it really kind of, a trigger went off. And so that's been good to see.
Gray Scales, going back and watching your last two games, obviously he's got athletic ability, but it seems like there's no wasted motion, whether it's time to go up, go back, movements left or right. Is that an accurate observation? First,
I agree. He's very efficient.
How much of that is part of his level of play?
I think that because when you go and you look at him, because we go through and the scouts all come through and want to talk about him and different things, and they have their opinions and they see it from their perspective, and so he's because he's not a big guy, and he isn't. He's quick and athletic, but he isn't like necessarily a burner. He's not an exceptionally fast guy. So you say, well, how is he so effective? And I think, what you said of being, there's no wasted motion. His footwork is clean. He doesn't take false steps. And we're big in everything we do is flow driven. And so I think he's really flourished in the system that we have, and his skill set fits it, and he's able to. We're not. The downhill game has changed. It's not like that anymore. And so everything to me is, with your hot feet, your shuffle, and your lateral movement, and being able to read the back. We read the backfield. And so to me, that is really what he's good at. And so he's able to anticipate. He studies film. He cares so much about being prepared and making sure the team's prepared. So his preparation, I think it adds to that. It adds to he's more effective. He understands where his eyes are supposed to be, and he's able to get there very efficiently. But there was a play, when their quarterback broke contained. It was just unbelievable effort, and just absolutely willing himself to get there on a key third down, and ended up knocking him out of bounds. Got credit for a sack for that, but that just epitomized him. He knew exactly where he needed to be, took a great angle, and busted his tail to get there, all the way across the field. So he's a really good one. Very, 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 and he's tough. And matter of fact, I just read an article about him that they did on him back at home there in Cincinnati, and talked about his wrestling background, just all those things that have interviewed his high school coach. It's just neat to read, because you'd like to see how young men have grown, and he was special there for sure, and he's just continued to get better and better and better. So just really a tribute to him and how hard he's worked. But yeah, he's very efficient as a player.
Chris Covington, you mentioned you thought he played really well this weekend, but in general, it seems like he's kind of just been very steady these first 4 weeks. A lot of people kind of wonder how you replace Marcus Oliver. Just how important has his play been?
Yeah, it's been very important, and when you lose a guy like Marcus that was the captain and started for so many games and years here. So once again, we sat him down and challenged him, and this is what you need to do, and it was just changing the way he did things, and his thoughts and how he worked and how he trained and how he took care of himself and how you live and just getting your mind right and all those things that go into being an elite player. And he bought into all that. And I think that that's a tremendous tribute to him because we needed him to. We needed him to in a huge way in order for us to play the kind of defense we wanted to play. And so those two guys, and, really proud of him. And Chris is a guy that, had some question marks, for sure. It wasn't like it was just a given that he was just going to, step in there and do what he's done. So, but it's neat to see him rewarded for all the hard work and the way that he prepared all spring and summer and now into the season. And he's same thing with the preparation and the film study and the getting the defense set up. And they've owned the concept of run the defense. And I hold them to that every day, and Coach Inge does a great job with that as well. And those two guys are playing at a high level.
This is off topic a little bit, but did you know Coach Tiller, and can you reflect on his passing?
I did. I not to the extent that I knew the coaches here. I would go there and visit. Matter of fact, Coach Hagan was on his staff, and Coach Brock Spack was also there for all those years when I would go as a high school coach. And so, but I vividly remember sitting in on the high school coaches clinic when he was first announced. And so he came in as the new head coach at Purdue. I really didn't know who he was, and didn't, being out of Wyoming, I really didn't, wasn't familiar with him at all. But just, there was something about him, there was just he made things just kind of seem simple, even though he was very, sharp and had all, they did so many innovative things that people weren't doing. But he just kind of, when you talk to him, he was just such a practical person that just cared about people. He always made us feel so welcome as high school coaches, and I spent quite a bit of time there too. I just never really got one-on-one time with him like I did with, with Coach Hepp here and Coach Lynch. But I know the high school coaches in this state highly, highly respected him. And there's without a doubt, I just think first thing I think of is just bringing in the style of play that he brought to the Big Ten was so different than what everybody was used to seeing, and running those bubbles that it was just basically it caught everybody off guard, and it just seemed like it was just a simple concept that was, totally new, and with obviously had a great quarterback, but just so much respect for what he did for Purdue football. I know, we're rivals and all, but that's really makes you respect him more, because you appreciate what he did for our conference, what he did for our state, and such a quality man. I know Mark Hagan worked with him, and, it was tough to hear of his passing. And Mark had told us a few weeks ago that he knew he wasn't doing well, and we were praying for him recently and praying for his family. So my heart, my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. But he was a great person, and that's what you love to see, guys that are good people do well, and he treated people right. And the coaches that worked for him, I didn't work for him, so I can't speak to that, but I know Mark thinks the world of him and has appreciated what he did for his family and the opportunity he gave him at Purdue. So just a tremendous coach, tremendous person, and just will be missed greatly, and appreciate everything he did for our game.